First, visually inspect the body. You want to look for paint chips and blims and flubs and paint oversprays. And the best way to look for that is look in these crevices around where things are attached to the guitar. Neck pocket joints, where plates are added to the guitar, right? It'll let you see a lot of any kind of finish flaws in the paint, right? Get that out of the way. Don't do any of the playing yet, because the playing is going to be last, and I'll explain why in a second. Just do the visual first. Like I said, look at how the fit and finish was done, right? Make sure everything feels right, you know, right? Touch the guitar in every kind of spot. I know this is kind of weird to say it like that, but it's important, right? You want to feel corners. You want to make sure it feels right and looks right. I tend to take my fingers and just kind of go over the edges of guitars real fast. I actually, when I look, I'm just looking, but I'm really just kind of feeling for something to poke out at me as being weird, like a little bump or something, you know, rough where it should be smooth. The other thing you want to look at is screws to make sure none of the screws are stripped or they haven't done anything silly like that. Now, once you decide cosmetically the guitar is fine, now it's a new guitar, because obviously here's the important part why cosmetics come first. If any of the cosmetic issues with the guitar, now it's a blim guitar. So now let's talk about fit and finish, how it plays. Now, keep in mind, the first thing you gotta do is inspect the frets. You do that by taking your thumb or your finger and rubbing the side of the frets, looking for fret sprout. If you don't know what fret sprout is, keep this in mind. When they attach a fret to the neck, the fret has been cut to the width of the neck. Makes sense? Then the neck continues to shrink because they didn't dry the wood enough, and the neck shrinks, but the metal can't, so the fret pops out. We call it fret sprout, even though it's really just the neck shrinking and the fret staying the same. So, if you feel roughness or sharpness on the frets, that's fret sprout. Now, that should be a warranty issue. You should be able to take it down and get another one. If, for some reason, you get another one and it's doing it, another one's doing it, I would recommend just at that point to have them pay the warranty to have it polished and rounded over, okay? No fret should be sprouting out. That's, it's defective. Okay, now the next thing you want to look for is gaps in the frets. You do that with a flashlight visually. You can use a gap gauge, but you can see it. It's a pretty easy thing to see. The fret should be touching the fretboard at every spot, okay? In other words, there should be no little line where you feel like you can stick maybe, you know, a business card in there or something, just even a line, a black line. You don't want to see any where the fret has lifted off the fretboard anyway. And the reason is because that is going to continue to get worse, okay? Now, if you visually see a fret that looks like it's not attached to the fretboard at 100% because there's a gap, all you have to do, let's say it was the 12th fret, is play the note above it, and if you hear a buzz or a dead spot, then you know you have that issue, right? So that's an easy thing to do. Keep this in mind. The reason why I tell everybody check frets first is you can't put an alignment on a car if it has a flat tire. The frets have to be right. Then we can worry about how straight the neck is. Now, the neck straight is easy. It's a trick that everybody's been using for many years. You take your finger and you put it on the first fret. What that does is when you push down on the first fret, you have now taken the nut out of the equation. Now the string is on the first fret. Then you take your thumb and you put it on the very last, after the very last fret of the guitar. And the reason you're doing that is because now the string is held between 2 points, 2 frets, not the bridge and the nut. They've been taken out of the equation. Now you'll take your pointer finger on your right hand and you just tap on the 12th fret. You can do this to all strings. People have been doing this for years. It's a trick that works. That's why we all use it. What you want to feel is a little bit of relief. Now, if you like your action super flat, super low with a little buzz, if it's right on the fretboard, that might be okay for you. What you're looking for is you don't want to make sure it's a big gap. Now, the reason why you got to do that to every fret is this is how you're going to tell if the neck has a little twist in it. And the reason that's important is you got to understand the strings are not equal in tension, right? The high strings are not pulling as hard as the low strings. So sometimes the necks twist because of that. They're getting uneven tension pull. So the necks tend to kind of twist a little bit. So obviously if you're, right, because remember the bridge and the nut are out of the equation. If this has no kind of relief in it, just a little bit, but you go to your high string and has a lot of relief, you know something is amiss, right? Or vice versa. So that's how you're going to check that. So the other thing you can do is just walk your fingers one after another across all the notes. Acoustically, you know, whether it's an acoustic guitar or electric guitar, just don't plug it in. Just listen and try to find those dead spots. Again, all these are going to be issues you're going to have to take care of on a brand new guitar. It's not very fun to have to put money into a guitar you just bought, right? This should all be taken care of. before you purchase it or immediately after. Okay, so that's all you do for that. Now, you can visually sight the neck as well, but at that point, you probably decided or figured out what is wrong with the guitar as a whole. The other thing you want to do is turn the tuners, turn all of them, make sure they're smooth. Again, the gears need to be smooth. Anything that's bad is just going to get worse. That's why you want to do that, right? So that is what you do. Make sure you tune the guitar. The last thing I always tell everybody to do is this. When you tune a guitar, now this won't be relevant because it's a locking nut, but it's a good trick. When you tune a guitar, tune it all up, right? And then what I want you to do is I take the 4th fret, but you can take the 5th fret or the 3rd fret, and on the G string and bend. And then hit again, right? And then do the D string. You can pull down if you want to, or up, and then play your chord. And then do it on the 12th fret, G and D, and then and that will tell you if the nut is going to let the string slip because there's an issue with the nut. So that's how you can tell it too. And you want to constantly be tuning up your new guitar and listening for what I call the tink, where the guitar goes tink. And if it does that, that's again the string binding in the nut. Now, do all that, and then if you feel you like the guitar, then set it up.